If you're in an introvert-extrovert relationship, you may be confused about how to navigate this yin and yang dynamic. And if you're confused and you're an introvert, well, you're in the right place, because today we're going to be discussing how an introvert can happily and successfully date an extrovert. Hello, Moodlings. My name is Dr. Nicole Lunan, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Moodly, a new app that allows you to share over 400 and plus moods, emotions, and desires with your lover, thus making communication simple, fun, and super easy. Studies show that majority of the population identifies as an ambivert, so somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. It's usually easy to gauge which end you scoot towards. For example, introverts fantasize about having alone time to recharge, taking long walks, listening to podcasts, while extroverts recharge by being around lots of friends, people, social gatherings, or talking to people on the phone. If you're an introvert dating an extrovert right now, you're probably like, wow, that's a lot. Like, they need a lot of energy to maintain themselves, and I feel overwhelmed, and I just don't know if I can provide them with that type of energy. And then, I ever gonna be enough for them? Like, is it gonna be okay if it's just me and them alone? God, that's a lot of energy. They need a lot of energy. If you can't tell, I'm an extrovert, and I am dating an introvert, and we've been dating for a few years. So, I personally have some tips on how you, an introvert, can successfully date and work with an extrovert. But before we dig into some tips and strategies about how to make your introvert-extrovert relationship work, let's go over some reminders. Remember that opposites attract. It's just like the old saying, there are no greater opposites than an extrovert and an introvert, and you both attract to each other. With the introvert-extrovert relationship, you get the best of both worlds. People will see you as a balanced duo, and you will complement each other well. It's exciting and adventurous. You get to have new experiences that you would never have with anybody else, namely someone who's just like you. And you'll learn a lot from the relationship. This particular relationship will push you out of your comfort zone and entice you to grow and just become a better person. That being said, you are dating another person who is fundamentally different than you, and which can be like super overwhelming. But don't worry, here are several things you need to know as an introvert dating an extrovert. Tip number 1, accept your extrovert for who they are. Being an extrovert isn't something that can be changed. As they get older, their priorities might change and their friend circles might change and mature, but their need for social time and community will not change. And this is something that you're gonna have to accept. Just as they will have to accept and learn about your need for solitude and your deep desire for peace and quiet. Trying to change each other won't turn out well and will result in resentment and loss of self. It will take some time for you to learn each other, but once you stop trying to change one another and accept each other, you'll learn to find a middle ground. You'll learn to find the beauty between yin and yang, the extrovert and the introvert. Tip number 2. You don't have to do everything together. There are plenty of couples who do everything together, and whatever works for them is great, but don't be mistaken. You don't have to do everything together, especially in an introvert-extrovert relationship, nor will you want to. This doesn't mean that your relationship is broken because you two aren't glommed together every chance that you get. It means that you make time for each other to be your own person while enjoying things that you actually like to do together, not that you're forced to do together. And so I was kind of confused by this concept because I was looking at couples and comparing myself or my relationship to other couples, which you should never do. Don't compare your relationship to anybody else because it's absolutely unique. But I'm like, they do everything together. They go to the gym together, they go to the movies together, they go shopping together, they hang out with their friends together. They do absolutely everything together. Isn't that what we should be like? And if we're not doing everything together all the time, is something wrong with us? Maybe we're not compatible. Don't do that. You don't have to be doing everything together. And also, the extrovert-introvert leaves room for a healthy interdependent relationship, meaning that you both have your individual selves, you are both independent, but you come together and create a healthy union. Tip number 3, as an introvert, you have to tell your extrovert your thoughts. You might have a gazillion silent thoughts going on in your head, but an introvert is not gonna know that unless you say it out loud. Offer the extrovert a topic to seize onto, and you'll find how easy the conversation can be. Just starting the conversation with a sentence or two can get the extrovert going. And you won't have to answer back always or consistently because the extrovert loves to chat and go deeper into the conversation. But this will give you a chance to give feedback and go deeper into the conversation at your own pace. Also, this is a tip for extroverts, and I know you're an introvert, but maybe you can talk to your extrovert about this. Tell your extrovert to ask more questions, because the extrovert tends to kind of, talk, but they also need to be guided to asking more questions. So if you say, hey, I really like it when you ask questions, then they'll actually do it, and then they'll probe you, and then you'll be more apt to opening up. Tip number 4, do not isolate your extrovert. The worst thing you can do is to isolate an extrovert. It's like cutting off their oxygen. Soon they'll become sad, their sunshine and bright energy will disappear, and they'll become irritable and cranky. Unlike introverts, extroverts thrive on other people's energy and often feel replenished after spending time with others. They don't need much solitude, and they even prefer to spend their downtime hanging with their partner, talking to their friends and family on the phone, as opposed to being alone. Tip number 5, don't internalize an extrovert's needs for outer energy. An introvert might feel overwhelmed or threatened by the extrovert's social life or desire for other connections. Extroverts need a partner who is secure with themselves because they're often the life of the party, and people are naturally drawn to them because they like to socialize. If you're an introvert, this might be challenging, especially if you have not built that trust with your partner yet. Try your best not to internalize your partner's desire for outside energy as you're not enough for them, or that they're looking for intimacy outside of the relationship, or that they're even attracted to other people. If you aren't an extrovert, it's easy to look down on this and think of it as a negative thing, like they're so attention hungry, why do they need so much validation? Instead of simply accepting that this is their way of recharging, just like yours may be to play video games or go to the movies alone. As an introvert, it may seem strange, but social interaction is just as important as solitude is for introverts. Extroverts are extremely communal. They like to meet new people and gather them together. That being said, this is a great opportunity for open communication because relationships are all about compromise. Sit down with your partner and talk about what makes you feel safe or unsafe. Depending on the partners, this can vary greatly. Communication is a critical factor in any relationship, but especially in the introvert-extrovert relationship. If you're an introvert, you're going to want to set boundaries with your partner and express your needs clearly so that your extrovert partner can accommodate them. Tip number 6, it's okay to say no, but try saying yes. Due to extroverts being social butterflies and communal, they'll invite you to quite a few social gatherings and parties. As an introvert, you might be inclined to say no, as it will sound exhausting. And it's okay to say no to events and parties when your significant other asks, but if you say no every time, your extrovert partner may stop asking and feel like you're not sharing activities, which will lead to feelings of neglect and resentment. It is also okay to say yes and push yourself outside of the comfort zone. That's the beauty of the extrovert-introvert relationship. The extrovert brings the introvert out of their shell and provides spontaneity. And if you love your extrovert, don't forget to compromise. Relationships are built on sharing and compromising. But if you choose to go, make sure you show up and be ready to engage. If you're feeling like you don't have enough energy to go, then opt to stay home and curl up on the couch rather than being disassociated while out. Either way, make a decision and commit, but make sure to share. Tip number 7, let them know when you're uncomfortable. If you've had enough of the party, the extrovert may not pick up on the subtle signs of your discomfort, especially at a scene with loud music and a lot of people. So you need to tell them politely that you're feeling overstimulated or you've hit the wall. Thank them for the experience, but let them know your honest feelings about it. This socializing difference is huge, and it's one that's going to protect you from ongoing conflict if you work it out earlier and you provide strategies or just be honest with your partner about how much you can handle as far as being out at gatherings. Tip number 8, find common interests. Extroverts like to try new things. This doesn't have to be around a ton of people. They just like to be out and about. This can also include during arts and crafts, reading a book together, going to the dog park, amusement parks, trying new restaurants together. There are common interests that both of you enjoy, and they're waiting for you to explore together. Also, there may be certain friends that you're extrovert lover that you actually enjoy being around. And when you discover them, make sure to verbalize them to your partner so that you can plan dinner dates, trips, etc. So not only are there common activities, there are also common people that you both like and can have fun with. Uncover your favorite hobbies and people, and you'll always have a way to bond with your extrovert, all the while maintaining your sense of self. All right, there goes 8 tips and strategies on how to successfully date an extrovert if you are an introvert. I hope these tips work out for you just as much as they worked out for me and my lover. And if you have any questions or want to comment at all, please leave a comment in the section below, and see you later, moodlings.